We are live. It's very exciting for everybody. Let's see, Bruce is talking about wireless CarPlay units. I don't know whether that was very articulate, but in the latest show notes actually, I can bring it up for you. He said, he referred to it and he said, yeah, I put it in the show notes because I always, people always ask me which one, and so I will give it to you. So how do I get to all External Tech Podcast in this last episode? Add to crowding Apple event. Okay. No. Pre-show. Follow up. He said he put it in there. Child Gmail accounts. Trouble with HomePod Paradise. G5 ads. Truck routing. Truck map. He did not put it in here. Well, for crying out loud. He very specifically said he would put it in the show notes. Oops. All right. Well, we have done a sound check. Did we get approval that people could hear us? Yep, we did. All righty. Let's see. So it is time. Hey, nobody called for roll call, but I'm going to do it anyway. We have Kevin and Bruce, and Doc Tim is back, and Frank and Mike and Jill and John and Rick and Sandy and Leah without the H's in the right hand sidebar. I haven't heard from her yet, though, so I don't know if she's actually here listening to us. And Rose is in here, too. Sound like I've got a good roll call going?
I think so. Thank you.
All right.
If you didn't hear your name, shout out.
Do you have any announcements to make before we start?
Me? No.
Okay. I have a cat in the way. This makes me nervous.
I have a snoring dog.
Do you?
I don't think it's not loud enough. It's a gentle snore.
Oh, she's a cute little snorer. All right. Well, the cat doesn't seem too far in the way, so I think I'm going to go ahead and get started then. Like I said, it's going to be a relatively short show, I think, unless things go horribly wrong. Here we go. Hi, this is Allison. Actually, that's too loud. I'll bring that down a little bit. Yeah. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeed.com, a technology geek podcast with an ever so slight Apple bias. Today is Sunday, September 3rd, 2023, and this is show number 956. Well, we finally have the announcement date for the next Apple event. It will be 10 a.m. Pacific time on September 12th. And as always, our chat room will be open for everyone to join in the fun of bantering back and forth about what we see and hear. You can join that chat room at podfeed.com/chat. Now, there's a little bit of bad news. Steve and I will be on a plane during the announcement, and we probably won't be able to join in the fun. I mean, it's possible we're going to be on a plane that you can pay for Wi-Fi. I don't know if you can pay to watch the video, and being in the chat room without knowing what everybody's talking about, that might be sad. So I don't know whether we'll be there or not. But I'm not too sad about it because the plane will be taking us to Texas to meet our sweet baby grandson, Teddy, for the first time. As always, we will make sure that people are in charge to keep you all in line. And I think I've dedicated Sandy to being in charge of making sure everybody behaves themselves in the chat room. We have not yet ever had to ban anyone, but, you know, you always like to be sure. You always like to be sure. What does that mean?
Be sure that you can ban someone.
Yeah,
actually, there was many years ago when we were starting out. It wasn't on this platform. We did have one instance where I had to.
You got to kick someone?
Yeah, but pretty rare, and it was not a regular.
Okay,
let me. The person returned.
I'm going to redo that line.
All right.
Now, we've never had a problem with anybody misbehaving, anything beyond maybe what Kevin does in the chat room anyway. But it's good to have someone in there who can moderate just in case. There, I got a Kevin insult in.
That's not fair. We've never had to kick Kevin.
No, we've never to being in charge of making sure everybody behaves themselves in the chat room. Whoop, a little there. Let's see. Isn't there a thing? I could do this thing on that thing. I could take that thing and go like that. room. Now, we've never had a problem with anybody misbehaving, anything beyond maybe what Kevin does. Okay.
Looks like
Good. You found
Bruce
it?
found the link.
Yeah, Car Linkit. Yeah, that's the one he said he likes. He says he's recommended that a lot of times. So, all right. Kevin says I need to do a chapter mark.
Yep.
So I will. Copy link, paste. How delightful. All right, over to you there. So, oh, that's from last year, not this year. Okay. Yeah, he says he always does it, so it was the same one. That's good. All right, here we go. Well, this week on Chit Chat Across the Pond, Bart Busschots joins us for Programming by Stealth again with the final installment of our mini-series on Bash. He explains a few new concepts, but the real value of this installment, and especially his fabulous tutorial show notes, is that he compiles a lot of information into some tables for us to use as a reference for the future. As with all good programming, Bart is scratching his own itch. He wanted a single place to go to know which brackets mean which thing and which ones do you have to cuddle versus not cuddle. He also wanted a table of the order in which Bash processes the 7 distinct types of expansions. So we're closing out Bash, but Bart has a new mini-series on the horizon for us all to look forward to.
So does cuddle mean no spaces, like right up next to it?
Yep. So inside the braces, whether it's cuddled or not, is the important thing. All right. So I think I'm going to do... Oh my gosh, those kitties are so cute. Wait, that's a GIF. Is that your own cats, Mike? Very cute. Are they siblings? All right, chapter mark. No, just cuddling. Oh, okay. They do look like little cuddles. They kind of remind me of Grace and Ada.
Yeah.
Except Grace is orange. Whoops. That's the wrong link. Copy link. There we go. Am I supposed to put the right one in?
Yeah, that helps.
All right, we're going to get real nerdy here. Yeah, I'm not talking. I'm only doing a 4-minute read here, so yeah, I guess it will be.
This will be a half-hour show at most.
Yeah, I think so. All right. Well, it's the time of year when the wild and unsubstantiated rumors about the new iPhone and Apple Watch are resolving into slightly less wild and more substantiated rumors. In less than 2 weeks, we'll know what's coming, but the frenzy doesn't slow down just because we'll know soon. One of the rumors is that Apple is going to eschew the stainless steel rim around the iPhone in favor of titanium. The Apple Watch Ultra comes in titanium, but they don't tell us which titanium. They only call it aerospace-grade titanium. As a mechanical engineer in my day job for many years, I had the opportunity to choose materials to build things, so I know a little bit about why you'd make the trade-off between steel, aluminum, and titanium. And better yet, I feel the need to share a bit of what I know. Metals have a few properties to consider. In military devices like what I worked on that often went on aircraft, and in commercial electronics like iPhones, a big consideration is trying to make the devices lighter without sacrificing strength. Now, weight is a function of how dense a material is, which is mass divided by volume. In metric units, we use grams per cubic centimeter to define God, I can't do one single thing with that. Now, weight is a function of how dense a material is, which is mass divided by volume. In metric units, we use grams per cubic centimeter to define density. So let's take a look at 3 materials and see which ones we should use to make our proposed iPhone based entirely on density, so it won't weigh down our purses so much. We're going to compare 3 metals. First, aluminum alloy, which is a blend of aluminum with just a dash of magnesium and silicon. For the nerdy amongst you, I'm going to be using 6061-T6 specifically, but don't worry your pretty little head about that if you're not into material specifications. I like this one because I actually remember specifying 6061 on my drawings back in the early 1980s. Our second material is going to be stainless steel, and in this case I'll be using 301 for the properties I'm going to be quoting. Titanium grade... Nope. Stop. I made a correction 26 minutes before showtime, and I did not pull in the latest version because that was about to be the wrong one. One moment, please, while I refresh my feed. Okay, that should... There it is. Finally, we'll be looking at titanium, and I'm going to be using Ti-6Al-4V. The Al and the V stand for aluminum and vanadium that help to make the titanium alloy. Now, as I said before, Apple simply says aerospace-grade titanium, and the ASM folks that I'm going to be quoting say it's good for blades, discs, rings, airframes, fasteners, and components, vessels, cases, hubs, forging, and biomedical implants. That sounds like it's probably good enough for our uses, right? Well, my main source of data for this exercise is from asm.matweb.com. Having trouble with my speech. That sounds like it's probably good enough. My main source of data for this exercise is from asm.matweb.com. ASM stands for the American Society for Materials, and I gotta say, I bet their conferences are a hootin' good time. Now, I'd also like to point out that I cross-referenced as much as I could from the book my father gave me shortly after I graduated from college. The book he gave me when my mother wanted to give me a dress. Can you imagine? Anyway, the book he gave me is Mark's Standard... Come on, why can't he... What's wrong with me? The book he gave me for graduation when my mother wanted to give me a dress. Can you imagine? I would not have that dress today. Anyway, the book he wanted to give me was Mark's Hands... Come on. The book he gave me when my mother wanted to give me a dress of all things. Can you imagine? Anyway, the book is Mark's Standard Handbook for Engineers, 8th edition, published in 1978. I think they're on the 11th edition now. The specific table I used for cross-referencing those materials... Geez, I can't get a whole sentence out. Oh, Bruce has been to ASM conferences. That's good. I think they're on the 11th edition now. The specific table I used for cross-referencing the materials information is on page 6-11. I wasn't able to cross-reference nearly as much as I'd hoped, as apparently materials have advanced since 1978. Okay, with my sources duly referenced, let's get into the good stuff. If we look at the density alone of the three materials we've chosen to try to find the lightest one, we find that the aluminum alloy has the lowest density at 2.7 grams per cubic centimeter. Steel comes in at over 8, and titanium comes into the middle at 4.4. Clearly, we should use aluminum for our fantasy iPhone because it has the lowest density, right? Well, slow down there, Skippy. There's more to the story than just the density. What if aluminum isn't as strong as the other contenders for the same volume? Don't you want your iPhone's frame to be strong? One measure of strength is called ultimate tensile strength. I love that name because it sounds like one of those shows with people fighting for physical supremacy. I thought that's what it sounded like anyway. So strength is measured in freedom units in PSI or pounds per square inch. God, what's wrong with my tongue today? Good thing I'm not talking much. I love that name because it sounds like one of those shows with people fighting for physical supremacy, doesn't it? Well, strength is measured in freedom units in PSI, or pounds per square inch. But in the rest of the world, it's measured in megapascals. Now, a pascal is 1 Newton per meter squared, and a Newton is 1 kilogram meter per second squared. I bet that's way more than you wanted to know, isn't it? I'm sorry, I couldn't help myself. I did think about multiplying out all the units and figuring out the full thing, but I'm not going to do it because we're want to get back to the plot at hand. Okay, so what we're looking for is ultimate tensile strength. So how do our three materials measure up in the ultimate tensile? Come on. Okay, so how do our three materials measure up in the ultimate tensile? Okay, so how do our three materials measure up in the ultimate tensile strength contest? Our previous fan favorite, aluminum, comes in at a paltry 310 megapascals, while stainless steel comes in at a strong 862 megapascals. But don't count out titanium yet, though. It finishes with a winning 950 megapascals. It's more than triple the ultimate tensile strength of aluminum. So now we have a quandary. While aluminum has the lowest density, titanium is the clear winner when it comes to ultimate tensile strength. How do we decide? Well, the answer is to calculate the specific strength. You're going to absolutely love this one. The unit for specific strength is kilonewton meters per kilogram. I am not making this up. Now, while the units are clearly getting out of control, calculating specific strength is trivial. We simply divide our old friend, the ultimate tensile strength, by the density. Our three contestants, aluminum, steel, and titanium, come in with these final stats for specific strength. Aluminum alloy 6061 T6 gets 115 kilonewton meters per kilogram. So 115 for aluminum. Stainless steel comes in second at 107 kilonewton meters per kilogram. Titanium, though, wins the battle for the materials at over 214 kilonewton meters per kilogram. Now that we know that titanium is the clear winner in the materials battle, what does this really mean? If Apple chose titanium for the next iPhone, they could keep the exact same frame design and swap out the heavy but relatively strong stainless steel for titanium. Since titanium is less dense, the same size frame would be much stronger. Alternatively, they could choose to make the frame thinner while maintaining the same strength. But the last thing to take into consideration is cost. Titanium is a lot more expensive than stainless steel for a couple of different reasons. First of all, titanium is rarer than the elements required to make stainless steel, so the materials cost alone would make the phone more expensive. Titanium is also much harder to machine. Now, machining the same iPhone frame out of titanium would increase the cost of making the device. We've heard rumors of an increase in the base price, and this could be one of the reasons why. I don't know what Apple will do with the next iPhone, but I hope you enjoyed my little lesson on why titanium might be in our future for more than the Apple Watch Ultra. Boy, that took a long time.
So we're talking about just the frame that surrounds the phone. Nothing else is being talked about for titanium.
That's what I said at the beginning, right?
Yeah. It
Right?
doesn't seem that would weigh that much more or less, but
Yeah. I don't know. I've never taken one apart.
Fraction of an ounce counts.
Maybe. Did you just plug something into your Mac?
I just put my phone on my charger.
Yeah. Oh, so it was the phone making the noise this time. Okay. I can't see what you guys are writing. The coefficient of thermal expansion. Yeah, we should get into that. I've always been a fan of that one. For all I know, it's not even the fashion aspect of things. Titanium is the sexy metal. Yep. Okay, who's next?
Jill.
Jill. Oh, I need to read something before I introduce Jill. Okay. I keep stumbling over my words. This show could take forever. It's a good thing I'm not reading inches per inch per Fahrenheit. Don't you have to divide that by fortnights at the end too? All right. I'm going to say a little setup here. Let's cleanse our palate from all of this material science discussion with a little conversation from Jill from the North Woods. She's going to join us to tell us about 3 microphones she's been using. Now, I want you to listen carefully to this because as she introduces each microphone, she's actually switching to the mic she's telling you about. Oh, I managed to get a sentence out without stumbling. Furlongs per fortnight. Yeah, I always forget the furlongs. That's right, John. All right. Okay, so this is Jill on podcast mics. So this will be Jill here. All right. Titanium brittle. No, actually, it's definitely not brittle. I thought about getting into this in the discussion. So what I used to work on was designing flex pivots for steering mirrors. So we had a little mirror and voice coil actuators that would push on it to bend it back, move it back and forth like this. And it would have a little pivot point. And we made them out of titanium because it was better for flexing. Pi seconds is a nanocentury. Yeah, definitely not. I forget what the property is that manages that. All right. Well, you know what? We should listen to Jill. We have time. Twitching to the mic she's telling you about.
Hello, this is Jill from the North Woods. When I got started in podcasting, Allison was so great, helped me in so many ways, and gave me advice on things I knew nothing about, including microphones. The first microphone I owned came as a recommendation. It was the ATR 2100. This microphone, as she told me, built the podcasting world. It was the one that many people started with, and it was something that was widely available, low cost, and sounded great. I jumped all over that. That was exactly what I was looking for. Am I going to like podcasting? Am I going to keep up with it? Or am I just going to quit as soon as the pandemic's over with? So getting a low-cost microphone that is reliable, durable, and has been proven to be great for podcasters was right up my alley. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. My tale of 3 microphones that I own, and maybe it'll help you pick the right microphone for what you're looking to do. So here I am on my ATR 2100 microphone, my first microphone. Don't you always remember your very first microphone? I know I will. This is made by Audio-Technica, and it is, again, the microphone that started the podcast movement. It has both USB and XLR. That's why I liked it so much, too. Allison said I could use it everywhere. I could plug it directly into my Mac, and then when I get to be a sophisticated XLR user, I'll be able to plug it into an audio interface. So it has everything. This is a dynamic microphone. And honestly, it worked great regardless of where I plugged it in. Back in the beginning of my podcast, when I plugged it directly into my Mac, now that I have a Scarlett audio interface, it also works great. It has a microphone jack right on the microphone so that you can plug your headphones in and monitor, which is important, so that you can hear what noises are coming in, how you sound, and it helps to get rid of all the extra noise that's not directly near the microphone. So you can hear things that are coming in close to the microphone, but it drastically falls off when I back away or I go side to side. It helps make sure that your podcast sound is very quiet. Has a nice on and off switch, which is great in case you want to make sure you turn it off. And again, it's very durable. You know that this thing is just going to outlast everybody. I felt in the end that it made my voice a little bit pitchy. Maybe we'll hear it on this podcast. Maybe it was just my imagination. So I ended up deciding to move to my next microphone, but I also got, based on Allison's suggestion, was the Shure SM58. And the reason I got this microphone is it came with the Shure MVI digital audio interface. This was going to be my next step. It gave me the ability to plug in an XLR cable. It also had a mute switch, which I really wanted to have. Allison talked about the power of having her mute button, compression, gain control, how much you're going to boost the sound, mute, and that volume. It also has what is called phantom power, which helps, again, power the mic, which makes sure that your sound is loud enough without boosting the gain too much. I'm not going to get too nerdy in all of this, but I wanted the interface, and so this mic came with it. And I did end up, in the end, liking the sound of my voice with this microphone a little bit more than I did with the ATR. With the ATR, I thought it was a little bit pitchy, but this one seemed to have nicer tones. I like the darker tones of my voice too, and I thought it enhanced those tones better. Then that led me to buying the Shure MV7 podcast microphone. The reason I got this one is, first of all, it was a lot cheaper than the very high-end version, the SM7B, which is probably the most expensive of the Shure microphones used for at least podcast recording. But this has a pop filter built into the microphone, and it allowed me to get away from all the contraptions. I felt like I kept whacking into things and making a mess and getting whacked in the face with the pop filters. This doesn't need it. So this was allowing me now to have more control over my voice. It sounded great. I thought that this had such a good tone to it. Like the SM58 and the ATR 2100, my other microphones, this is a dynamic microphone. They say it's broadcast quality. I think the other ones were good broadcast quality too, although I did like my voice the best on this one. Again, I'm probably going to listen back to all these recordings on these different microphones and find out there wasn't any difference between any of them. This also has the XLR or USB interface on the back end, so I can plug it in directly to my Mac, or I can plug it into an audio interface like the MVI or the Scarlett interface, and that way it will be able to get that better sound, which some people say you have when you're using the XLR cable versus the USB cable. But after doing some research for this particular podcast, I heard a lot of people say they heard no difference between the two. Now, again, I'm not an audiophile, I'm not a sound engineer, just a normal nerd trying to put out a podcast. The microphone itself has some level controls on it, some volume. I can see whether I'm peaking directly on the microphone, although it's kind of weird because if I'm looking at the microphone, then my face isn't in the right position to actually talk. So I haven't found that to be too useful. And it also has the ability to plug, again, monitoring headphones into the bottom of the mic. The mic also has a mic mute, but it's easier for me to control the mute through software than it is through actual buttons on the microphone. Primarily because, again, you're looking at your material that you're talking about on your podcast instead of looking at the microphone itself. It has an interesting sort of a swivel mount to it. The other microphones were just kind of your standard stick microphones that go into a bracket. This one has a little bit of a curve to it. There'll be pictures in the show notes. And so it allows a little bit more, what they say, versatility, because you can kind of tilt it and angle it. I found getting those other two microphones to be in the right position sometimes a little tricky, but with the way that this mount works, I can easily tilt it and angle it exactly how I want to angle it. People say that it has good tones. I thought so too. Again, I thought my voice sounded better in it. When it comes to all the Shure microphones, the SM7 and this Shure MV7, you can use the Motive app, which comes on Mac and on iOS. Plug the microphones directly into those devices using USB, and you have some onboard controls. You'll be able to change how much gain is coming into the mic, and it even has some EQ settings and doing some other types of voice warming, other kinds of settings that you have only when you're using these mics on a USB situation, like plug directly into your Mac. And I thought that was neat how you had all these settings. But as I was doing more reading about it, people were saying specifically not to use those settings, primarily because whenever you change a setting on the recording side of things, it's what they call destructive, which means you can't get it back. So if I were to limit my tones, change my tones on the mic itself, using the software, I can never get back exactly what it did. If I change those tones in the editing process using something like the filters that come on Hindenburg, some filters that exist through Apple, and something like Isotope, where it allows you to edit your software, get rid of breathing and other types of problems, those types of edits are not destructive, which means if I went too far, I noticed on some of my podcasts the last syllable of my words were getting clipped, I could go back and fix that and try to make it better without actually destroying the recording at all. So you have a lot of editing power. The only time they say that you should use these various Shure settings is if you're recording something and you're not going to have time to do any editing. They're pretty darn good. So if I'm going to do an ad hoc podcast on the road and I'm immediately going to post it and send it out, those settings on the microphone are going to be great for giving me a better sound without doing any editing. So this is my favorite mic. I really enjoy this mic, and I have no urge to buy another mic, thank goodness, than the one I have. So there you have it, my tale of 3 microphones. Hopefully it gives you a good idea of maybe what kind of microphones you want. Even if you're interested in other brands, you can see side by side what different levels of microphone sound like, what kinds of things a more expensive microphone will give you, and whether or not it's worth taking that leap going from USB to XLR, those are those big thick cables, and whether it's worth your time. And I hope this review helped you in deciding what kind of microphones maybe you want to get. Do you want to spend money, or do you want to stick with the microphone you have? It's a complicated and trying dilemma when you're trying to have a podcast that sounds really good. And if you have any questions, you can always look at the blog articles on Allison's website or email me at jill@startwithsmallsteps.com. Thank you very much for listening, and let me know what you think. Or
Yay!
Good
Love
review. Good review, Jill.
Yeah.
done.
Let me.
Although I don't know if I could hear, at least in this recording, the change in the microphones, but they all sounded good.
It's real subtle. I had to go back and forth in the recording a bunch of times, and I can tell the ATR 2100 from the 2 Shure microphones, but I can't tell the 2 Shure microphones apart. Yeah. All right. I'm going to go directly into support the show. And I'll put the regular link in. All right. When I normally talk about how to support the show, I talk about the heroes who donate money to help cover the costs of the podcast. But today I want to highlight a real hero, and it's Jill from the North Woods. She contributes regularly with content like what you just heard, and really comes through for me to be able to make sure that I can take a break from time to time. You just heard her excellent review of her 3 microphones. She's got another mic review coming up, and she's also recorded a segment about a really nifty tool called Notion that she's been teaching to me. Now, she has 2 podcasts of her own, and she works full-time, and yet she steps in to help you have a great show when I go off on travel. If you'd like to be a hero like Jill, pick up a microphone and tell us about some cool tech you enjoy. I have at least 4 more mini trips planned in the next few months, so you have lots of opportunity to help out. Is that a contribution? 100%.
Yes, that's time. She's giving you time.
Yeah, you're buying me time. That is the perfect description of it. You gave away your microphone, Kevin. Oh, you're working on another review about Fantastical, Jill? That's awesome. You rock. All right. Now it is time for some security bits, and I got to remember to do the music. And security bits. Bart was in a chatty mood today, so we went on for a long time, but it was really fun. Security bits, there it is. There's the music. All right, and then I'm going to find security bits here. All right, we'll drop in Allison's version. Well, it's a good thing Bart and I do this double recording nonsense that you see here, because he's we don't know what was going on. He says there's nothing wrong with his internets, but his he disappeared from the recording. Well, he froze twice, and once he got booted out of Slack, or out of Zoom entirely. So
did he resolve his cable issue?
No. Well, maybe. So he thinks it's not the cable, in spite of the lesson we had last week, and he's got some logic to it. It's he
Hey,
thinks it was a
don't
loose.
cut that.
Oh, sorry. Okay, fine. Here you go. Shh.
Blink.
There you go.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Oh, hey, Rick. Oh, no. Discord was being mean. Anyway, so he thinks he had a loose connection to the XLR input on the back of his mic. That's what he thinks it was. Or something to do with the gain knob on his mic. But here's the problem. The mic boom arm that he bought, Alistair recommended a boom arm. He did a review and it was great and everything. And Bart went to look at it. Instead of buying the inexpensive one that Alistair suggested, he bought the deluxe boom arm. Well, the deluxe boom arm completely encases the XLR cable, so you can't replace it. So it's a $200 boom arm that he would have to throw away just to test to see if he's got a bad...
So the boom arm comes with an embedded XLR cable?
I didn't believe him.
Oh.
Because he kept looking at it, and he's not super mechanical. He's got his strengths in physics and computer science and all that. And I thought, that's not possible. But I looked up his boom arm, and it says in the help files, no, you have to saw the cable off and put a new connector on it.
That's not good. Bad design.
So, not exactly what you want. But what he might, if he still has trouble, what he's going to try to do is buy another XLR cable and just like Velcro tie it to the boom arm, which is just awful. All right. Oh, now I don't know why Grumpy is waving a mouse waving, but it's cute. All right, let's hear how this is going. Well, it's that time of the week again. It's time for Security Bits with Bart Bouchotz. Looks like meaty show notes this week, huh?
They are, but a lot of it is basically me having the freedom to put in stuff that was cool rather than ooga, hair on fire. So I prefer these kind of me having the...
Okay, I'm going to slide him over a smidge. I think I want it there. Notes this week, huh?
They are, but full show notes.
Okay, that's good. Somewhere in between. There.
Full show notes.
Okay, that deep dive.
I'm focusing on them actually. I'm giving them. I'm biased towards them, in the good kind of bias.
Well, it's fun because it's context. It's not just a listing of facts. It's context. All righty. Okay, so let's go down to the end here. That's not what I want to do. I don't understand, Jill, why sometimes... Oh, maybe I'm hitting the wrong button. No? There. Sometimes I can jump to the end with the keystroke function command right arrow, and sometimes it just pays no attention to me. I feel like has something to do with what I'm selecting at the time, whether I've got the right row selected.
Wrapped up, and the advice is always the same. Remember, folks, stay patched so you stay secure.
Okay, so that's an hour and 22-minute show.
Wow.
Without doing my my third thing. So you see why I cut it?
Yeah.
All right. Here we go. Well, that is going to wind us up for this week. Did you know you can email me at allison@podfeet.com anytime you like? If you have questions or a suggestion or that recording you're going to do for me for the show so I can keep goofing off, you send it to allison@podfeet.com. You can follow me on Mastodon at podfeet at chaos.social. I'm having so much fun over there. It's such a nice place to be, and it just feels like a good community over on Mastodon. And remember, everything good starts with podfeet.com. If you want to join the fun of the conversation, you can join our Slack community at podfeet.com/Slack, where you can talk to me and all of the other lovely Nosilla castaways. You can support the show at podfeet.com/Patreon or with a one-time donation at podfeet.com/PayPal. Or did I mention you could do a recording like the awesome Jill by sending it to me at allison@podfeet.com. And if you want to join in the fun of the live show, head on over to podfeet.com/live on Sunday nights at 5 p.m. Pacific time and join the friendly and enthusiastic Nosilla castaways. Thanks for listening and stay subscribed. So Discord's cranky on the iPad. That's interesting. I've had trouble on some occasions doing getting into Tom Merritt's Discord from my Mac. I can get in, but they can't hear me. So when I get into his Discord, when I need to, I go into my iPad, and I don't have any trouble with it.
Weird.
It's not possible that it's something I've screwed up that causes there to be a CAPTCHA, is there? Maybe it's something they've changed. Listening and stay subscribed. Ah, the beta. That's always fun. All right, I'm going to export here. I can keep entertaining you if you guys want I could show you more stuff that I work on. Let's see, if I move the chat room. Let's see, if I move the chat room, I could share my screen instead of sharing my, let's see, I'm going to change what I share. So stop share screen. I'm going to present, and I'm going to do share screen. I wonder what would happen if I did the entire screen. I bet you aren't going to be able to see anything because of my screen resolution. Can you see anything there? Is that so small it's worthless? Let's see. Wait, I can't see the Discord now to talk to you. I bet that's going to be annoying. Steve, what do you think? Steve says Steve's not there. Oh, now I'm not there.
I don't know. It's that's not really useful, at least from my view.
Yeah. So what
Also,
I would do is,
all of a sudden your audio is clicking all over the place. It seems to be related when you started sharing your whole screen. Weird relationship. Maybe because there are more bits flying over your interface because of the large image, but
interesting. Okay, well, let's try switching it. I'm going to stop that. Share screen, entire screen, but I'll share screen 2, which means I will have my head to the side. Ooh, that's meta. Ooh, okay.
What are you trying to do?
I'm just going to switch which screen I'm sharing. Just give them something to look at while we chat.
Okay.
No? If you think this is silly, we don't need to do it. Now, do you see stuff? Has it stopped clicking?
No, it's still clicking.
Well, that's a lot less pixels, a lot fewer pixels than I was doing before. So, okay, well, we can just say goodbye. If Steve doesn't want to let us...
it's up to you. I don't think it's very useful to people, but...
Why?
What are you trying to convey here?
I don't know. Just the whole point of the show is for them to have something to look at while they goof around, right?
But remember, good quality sound is important.
Yeah, why?
And right now, there's a lot of clicking.
So that's interesting. I don't know why that would be.
Yeah, I don't either.
Because it changed the pixels. Do you? So
I don't know if they hear it on Discord or is it just.
That's a good
YouTube?
question. Does Discord sound poopy? They don't hear any clicking. Maybe it's your headphones, Steve.
StreamYard. Go ahead.
I'm talking and I'm talking.
Yeah, it's just StreamYard that's doing it.
Or
Discord
YouTube.
is not.
So YouTube might be getting it.
YouTube, StreamYard's. I don't know because remember, Discord audio is separate from StreamYard, YouTube.
Yeah. So
different path.
Yeah. So that's interesting. But my audio input to both is the same. And I'm I'm sending a lot of pixels on both.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so I don't think it's it's not my CPU. That's nothing limiting it on my end. Right? Because my computer is doing all this sending of pixels either way.
Yeah, I'm not saying it necessarily your CPU, but when you're mixing the audio and the video together in one stream, like you do on StreamYard and YouTube, but not Discord, that may be having an effect.
So I'm hearing clicking on your voice now in StreamYard.
Yeah.
So
I'm not sure why that is.
Well, actually, here, let's do a test. I'll stop screen sharing
Okay.
and tell me whether the clicking
Well,
has changed.
I'm still hearing clicking from your end. Are you hearing it from
Yeah.
mine?
Talk a little more.
This is Steve. Test 1, 2, 3. Test.
I'm not hearing any clicking.
All right.
Well, you seem to be bored with it, so
Yeah.
I won't show them what I'm doing. If Steve's not interested, you guys don't get to hear any more. Oh, chapter count. We did not do a
we should
chapter
do that.
count.
We should do
It's
that.
too late.
Is it?
Well, the show's halfway up.
Oh, is
Let
it?
me-
Okay, let me just count one. Anyway,
It should be. Let's
1, 2,
see.
3, 4.
Recent
5.
sessions. I have 5.
Yes.
Good thing, because I already exported and I already started uploading to Discord. Yeah, I know you kept, but nobody listens to you, Kevin. He only told us 3 times, 4 times. Maybe you should just repeat it more times. All right. Well, Steve, apparently he has places to go. So I think we're going to call it, and we will see you next week. But 2 weeks from now, there will not be a live show.
That's right.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.